We're so lucky to be 12-6 at half time.
Yeah, I can't disagree with what Matt says about it being a flat game. It did feel kind of quite odd, and a bit sloppy, I would say, but sloppy on both sides, really.
Because I was hoping there'd be more than just Mark getting in touch from a Huddersfield perspective to tell me like how good they were. Because my focus was just on Wigan being poor in this game with the amount of errors and penalties for the most part that we coughed up and how we kind of lost most contacts, defence and attack as well. I'd only really focused on that. But you're sort of saying Huddersfield weren't really that good either.
Well, the things that came off, I thought were good on both sides. You talk about the household try. That was obviously a very good try. But the movements for the three scores in the first half were good movements. It just felt like in between it there was a lot of sloppiness,
Yeah.
and kind of disconnections that you get when you've got players kind of coming in and out and not being cohesive as a group. So at half time, you're probably right in that Wigan were relatively lucky to be one score down, but I don't know. I never felt that Huddersfield were losing it at any point, really. Even when it got close, I wasn't really concerned from a Giants point of view.
Were you not?
No,
I thought it was remarkable that Wigan went into the last 2 minutes with a chance to win. Like, what was it, 4 points down with that goal line dropout where Lola here managed to connect with it magically. And I thought Sam Halsall did have a good game overall, but he did have two mistakes in the second half. One right at the start where he knocked on that ball that led to Senior going in from the next play. More bloody scrum first play tries. It's funny, if we were St Helens, we'd just have been offside, wouldn't we? And then at the end, like not covering that dropout right at the end of the second half, that they were two big moments, but I thought overall Sam actually did a really good job as one of the more experienced younger players that Wigan put in, with McDonnell playing only I think his fourth maybe Wigan game, and then Nicholson and Astley on debut.
Yeah, it's not really a result that either team's going to be thinking about in a couple of weeks' time, is it? I don't think it has any. I don't think it'll have any bearing for either team, to be frank. So I understand why Wigan did it. It was probably felt like a necessary adjustment. As you say, that there's some players who've been carrying quite a heavy load this year, but yeah, it's a difficult balancing act, isn't it? Because it depends how much precedent you put on the league leaders' shield, really.
Well, the thing is, though, if you can go and beat St Helens and be level on points with them, and then the league leaders' shield could come down to the third game between the two sides, even still. So you're not out of it. I mean, you beat St Helens twice.
No, you're not out of it. No,
and you win the league
not.
leaders' shield if you win your other games too. So there's kind of like I suppose you can't really draw too much out of it from that point of view. What Mark W talked about the spine for Huddersfield. And I do think that was the difference. They picked their spine. I know Levi came off the bench rather than starting, but they picked their first choice spine, and Wigan had Harry Smith, so none of their first choice spine. Harry Smith and O'Neill have been deputising in there, but Astley on debut, he didn't look out of place, but at the same time he didn't look ready for Super League for me. And Bevan French still doesn't look like he's got fullback fitness back, to be honest. But Farge and Lola here, I thought they were great in patches for Huddersfield, and Lola here's pass for that second Senior try was like ridiculous. The lack of backlift for the length of the field he covered with it was amazing, and just on the button from like 30 metres away. Awesome pass. I thought Ricky Latelli was absolutely awesome though. He's if someone said like pick one player from Super League that Wigan need to sign for next year, my answer would be Ricky Latelli.
Yeah, he at the moment he's in a very rich vein of form, isn't he? And he's definitely showing up. I'm damn certain Huddersfield will want to keep hold of him.
Yeah, for certain.
But
Matty Nicholson had a bright. He was probably the brightest spot for Wigan, I thought. When he came on in his cameo, he actually got Wigan back into it, didn't he, with his tries? I know his tries were from supporting other plays, really, but he was in the right place at the right time. And
oh yeah, you've got to do it.
Yeah, you got to be impressed with him. He looked like he's going to probably get a few more chances, maybe in this first team this year. So yeah, he was a big part of why Wigan went into those last 2 minutes with a chance to win. But I mean, the better team won this game, and I don't think we hugely learned too much, did we, for the final? We know that Huddersfield's spine is good. Better than it's been for a while. We know that Wigan have more exciting long-range plays in them than they've had for a while. But we didn't really find out anything about who's going to win the final from this game, I don't think.
No, Wigan would still be my favourites for the final, even no matter what this result was. So, yeah.
If Wigan weren't thinking of resting anyone the week before the final, they're now going to have to rest Cade Ellis because he got a one-match penalty notice for a Grade B high tackle. It was fairly early in the game, I think, but I can't particularly remember one being that bad. But he's got a one-match penalty notice there, so he'll sit out the Hull FC game. EFC strikes first with Huddersfield being linked with Jake Bibby. He said, Huddersfield Giants are due to make a move on Wigan's talent, Jake Bibby. If it happens, he will reunite with Ian Watson as they were last together at Salford. Since then, Ian has gone to join the John Smiths and Jake has gone to the DW Stadium. Bibby is due to be out of contract at the end of the season unless Wigan renew it and stop the deal from being pulled off, which will mean the Giants will have to wait longer.
Would you be disappointed if Bibby leaves?
If Bibby left, but Wigan brought in one of the... if Wigan brought in the players that were number 3 or number 4 at Huddersfield in return, then I'd be fine with that. But Bibby's a really good squad player at Super League level that's been forced to play a lot more games than I think he even would have been expecting to play at Wigan. So, he's been reliable, but if we got Ricky Latelli or some... I'm not saying we're getting Ricky Latelli, by the way. There's no rumour here. It's just what I'd want to happen. But if we got a Latelli or a Wardle or someone of that ilk, then I would say Bibby wouldn't necessarily. He might be surplus to requirements then.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's swapping Bibby for Latelli.
Yeah.
that's not a deal.
No.
If that is a deal, I've got some magic beans for you.
Let's move on to the Friday night game. St Helens versus Hull FC. It was 10-4 to Saints at half time. It finished 24-10 to the Saints by the end, although I think that last Hull FC try all the Saints fans think was a forward pass. So they'll say it was 24-4. 11,268 were there, so a decent crowd. Not that you heard it. And Jack Smith was the... Jack Smith was the referee. In terms of the team stats, this game had the most penalties shared out, 19 of them shared out 10-9 in Hull FC's favour of any Super League game so far this season. Saints gave away that extra penalty and made 3 more errors, but had a 3.5% better team tackle success rate, so wins and losses there. Hull FC fell below 90% actually, that's not great. And I've obviously made a typo here, but 1.6 metres per carry better average gain, I think.
If it was 106, that'd be amazing.
No, I think Saints had a 1.6 metre per carry better average gain and made more metres and more breaks than their opponents. So you'd say Saints won overall on the stats. What about the individuals?
Yeah, so Joe Batchelor had 41 tackles, but he also made 102 metres. Tommy Makinson with 2 tries, 146 metres and 3 clean breaks. Sione Mitauti with 163 metres and Conrad Harrell with 3 try assists and 127 metres. For Hull FC, Josh Griffin with 119 metres. Chris Hatte had 116. Daniel McIntosh got their 2 tries and 111 metres. And Josh Reynolds had 103 metres.
At MikeWeb58 said, safely back on the horse, disjointed first off but began to click in the second with a dominant display. Not sure the Hull fans singing "You Fat Bastard" to the Hurricane had the effect they wanted. No, he was good, wasn't he?
He was good. Yeah, he still has his moments, but yeah. Always in our shadow says Saints did what Saints do: play on the limits, slow things down, interfere, sling the odd elbow in. But when they do actually play, they're pretty good at it. Harrell petrified win all night. Yeah, that's a bit of a mismatch, you have to say.
B. Dawson 1902 said, "What can I say that hasn't been said about him already? Josh Reynolds might just be the greatest player to ever pull on the black and white shirt. The other players should be ashamed to even concede a single point when Josh Superman Reynolds is on the pitch. If Hull don't offer him a 3-year contract immediately after that performance, I'll never go to another game again." Safe to say, there was a tongue in the cheek there, I think.
Yes, I picked that up somehow, very, very subtle as it was. Esther says, "I hope Brad's okay." Yes, that Brad Fash, that was quite a hit. But Lee's needs looking at. We was good at them until they scored, until near half time. Dad says Robert is a fucking machine. Well, he is. Harrell was too big for Connor Wynn. Reynolds don't do enough for a marquee. Liggy, Manu, and Jack B were all excellent.
Yeah, Jack Brown and Manu Mount, and I'd throw Scott Taylor in there as well as on his path back into the side. I thought were impressive for Hull. So good. Esther's pulled out some of the same people that I might have forgot to mention otherwise. Jacko said, "Thought Hull were very poor. Only team in Super League to get away with constant forward passes."
It's an opinion. Joshua's granddad says, "A game of could have been. If the 40-20 had gone in just before half time, we go in level or maybe sneak a score. If Reynolds could have grounded the ball second half, but that was his best contribution. Lee's flattening Fash at the start didn't help player rotation. Griff having to play in the pack while Wynn left to struggle with Harrell too. Many strange calls from Mr. Smith." There's always got to be a referee mention in there.
Lee Whitnell said, "Hull lacked cohesion and St Helens just ground them down. Despite the tries, it didn't feel like an exciting game in the stadium. Possibly that's because of the complete lack of atmosphere. Difficult to say. My lad played a blinder at half-time and got, almost certainly, the biggest cheer of the night for knocking a lad on his backside. Proud dad moment."
Pablo the Viking says, "Saints just having that little bit too much against Hull. Something needs to be done about penalties at the scrum. It's becoming a joke in all games with teams willing to give a penalty away to reset their defence. Either sort it out or get rid of scrums."
I've got a point to make on that. We'll do Scoots first.
Okay.
Sarah McKenzie said, "Thought Leeds should have walked for the elbow on Fash. Not much to shout about. Reynolds very poor. Hurrell had the beating of Wynn. Why was it a penalty in the build-up to their try on half-time rather than 6 again? ? Total inconsistency in the rule. Saints nothing special, only scoring 2 tries more." Right. Let's start with this scrum thing, because genuinely I can't believe that Saints didn't get a player sin bin in the first half. It felt like there was penalty after 6 again after penalty from Saints, and the part that highlighted it the most for me was the scrum stuff. So what's happened to the sin binnings of players who are offside at scrums? We saw it once and then it's been put back in the box. When Hicks did it, didn't he, in the Catalans-Toulouse game, he binned Russell from Toulouse, right? So that happened then. The precedent should have been set. Saints had already been penalised for having someone offside at a scrum in the middle of the pitch in the game, and the referee had pulled them up and warned them. So why then, 10 minutes later, when one of them's offside on their own fucking goal line, does he not put one in the bin? When they've already given away enough penalties to fully justify it, let alone the same penalty twice close together, and it being very similar to what Hicks put a Toulouse player in the bin for only a month ago. To me, they were so lucky to not have a player sin bin in that first half, St Helens. Even the Sky team were talking about Saints' deliberate penalties. That's how obvious it's become.
Well, that's because I'm leading the conversation. That's what it is. Everyone's coming around to my way of thinking. 3 weeks ago, and nobody was talking about it. No, I'm joking. No, I mean, yeah. It's kind of meme frequency now, isn't it? It's like it's just a thing. Unfortunately, everyone expects it, and people kind of just let it happen. It's like, oh, that's what happens. Oh, well, that's the way it's going to be. And the only way that you can do something about it is by proper punishment of the of the kind of the cynical nature of it, isn't it? That's the only thing you can do is by bidding people or